Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to the 14th episode of Jabber with Jengar, in which we've got a lot to talk about. I've got quite a few subjects. I'm first gonna talk a little bit about why I had so few videos made lately and the reason behind that, which has made quite an impact on me and my family. Aside from that, I want to get into the things we missed on the channel because I didn't have time to make videos on them, but there have been a few major announcements that were sneaked in there that are gonna improve life in War Thunder a lot, and that are really showing me that Gaijin is really pushing to make the game better and really working towards a more smooth experience. Very smart decisions lately from Gaijin. We'll talk about the netcode, we'll talk about the battle rating changes a little bit, and we'll talk about the French that are coming soon. But let's go into my private life for a second there. Now, last week, the beginning of last week, my son was diagnosed with diabetes 1. Now, this is the children's version of sugar. You know, you have diabetes 2. Many people get this when they get older. But you also have children who get sugar and who get, and you call that diabetes 1. Which is when the pancreas is not making enough insulin to compensate for the food coming in that's being turned into glucose. You need insulin to make that work for your body, and it doesn't work well with him, so we've got to add it to his body with shots, and a lot to learn, let me tell you that. I mean, you think you have it heavy when you have a healthy boy. Well, just get something like this in to add on top of that, and you've got yourself a second full-time job on your hands, which children already are, but something like this really changes things. And especially in the beginning, from what I've heard from other parents that we spoke to and we read about, is that it gets easier over time. You get used to counting all the carbohydrates in the food and stuff like that, and shoot the insulin, and it becomes a lifestyle, and you can definitely just normally live with it. I've heard about top sporters, people who play high level of sports with diabetes, stuff like that, so you can do everything you want with that. But in the end, when you just hear it, it's a bit of sad news, and you have to adjust, and it's a chaotic time. So we're in the middle of that, and thus I've had a few less videos in the feed lately, but hopefully you stuck with me, and you're patient, and you'll see it get back up to normal eventually. I don't know when that comes, but you know, I'll find my moments in between, but family comes first now, and especially my son and my girl. Now, in the meantime though, a few major announcements have been made by Gaijin about the game, and that really caught my attention. First of those was the netcode change that they announced, just with a small sneaky news post that just went by very quickly because they had a lot of announcements that day. But they announced the shell and bullet synchronization, which is a huge announcement because they are saying that the server and the client will be about 99% in sync with each other. And that the only times where you're gonna get problems, where you're gonna meet problems, is when you have packet loss. So that's the only time Gaijin says that you can still have problem with the synchronization and sparks, because that's in the end what we're talking about here, the end of sparks, the potential end of sparks with this change. And that's huge because it's a major frustration for everybody when you are laying into an opponent and all you see is fiery sparks and nothing happening, no hit detection, no nothing. That was a problem, and that was a huge problem for the game, that the synchronization between the server and the client was not always optimal. But they announced that they changed that, and that they improved that, and well, we're gonna see in the coming weeks how that works out. I've played a little bit of the game here and there, and I have noticed slight improvements here and there. I mean, if you get a lot of bullets on target, you always used to hit stuff. but it seems to be you are shooting things down more quick. I will have an example of that in the A6M2 in the next sub-search tomorrow of that, and you'll see with me how effective I was in that plane. And that may have something to do with, well, my flying in the first place, of course, but also with the netcode, with those short hits that actually do get in now. Is fantastic. I look forward to all the good stuff that come out of this, like less players being annoyed, no more dramatic whining about sparks and all that stuff. This is huge for the game. Maybe people even will return to the game because the sparks were a major frustration for them. And now that they will see that that is no longer an issue, people can fly again and be sure that their actions determine the outcome and not a random spark. Which is, well, it's a frustration, I say. I mean, that's true, and I feel it has driven a lot of people away from the game over the years. Now, the battle rating changes, let's go into that. There have been a lot of battle rating changes for tanks announced lately, and of course, as you know, I don't play tanks, so I don't really know the implications of that. I won't talk about it, but I've heard from a few tankers in my squadron that there are good changes in there, and that they're gonna change a lot of the tank meta that is real at the moment into something different. And what that different is, I will have to find out, but I of course have looked more towards the battle rating changes for planes, and the ones that have stood out from those have been the F-84G to 7.7, the P-51H to 6.3, and the B-57A to 7.0. Now, I have talked a lot about the P-51H and the F-84G, and what Gaijin has changed has actually been what I suggested. Now, there have been two ways that they could have approached this, and I think that the one that I suggested was second best. The first best, and I actually talked about that a lot in my comments section on the P-51H video, and I've also talked about this a lot of times before in Jabber episodes and stuff, but that is the F-84G to 8.0, but when you do that, you have to make a 9.3 battle rating for the top tier jets. And that would solve a whole array of other problems with the 8.0 planes, which are basically not flown a lot at the moment, because they constantly face the F2 Sabre, the Hunter, the MiG-17. You know, you gotta separate that, but I'm sure there must be a reason why Gaijin doesn't want to do that. Maybe it's because of the amount of people playing 9.0 planes. Maybe that's just a small group, and they need the 8.0 planes to be up tiered into those top tier jets. Otherwise you may have to wait for 7 minutes. And of course, as you know, these days if you have to wait for 3 or 4 minutes, people already start playing another game. Competition is high, and patience in gamers these days is pretty low. I usually don't mind waiting for 5 minutes, but if it gets a lot above that, even I get a little bit impatient and might try something on a different battle rating. But I think that's one of the reasons why they are not too quick as to making a 9.0 battle rating for the top tier jets and moving the F-84G to 8.0 and solving a lot of problems there. I mean, Gaijin has the numbers. They probably know what kind of effect that will have on 9.3 jets when they have them. Then maybe they won't get enough games then if the 8.0 planes are out of the mix, and maybe that will destroy even the wait times then. So I don't know, but I'm glad that Gaijin did something, that they listened and recognized the problem of the P-51H, because it did have a problem. Facing the F-84G with that plane was terrible because of the finishing power of the P-51H. It cannot really compete with the F-84G. It should never face that plane. And with these changes, the P-51H doesn't face the F-84G anymore. I feel it's slightly different with the Spitfire Mark 24, which has the Hispanos and much more finishing power. And in quick passes with 84Gs, you have much more chances to shoot down an F-84G with the Mark 24 than with the P-51H. So all in all, this is, for me, this is a good change for the P-51H, but of course you will have ripples of this in the lower battle ratings, because now the P-51H will also go to 5.3. Now I also told in that same review that I think the P51H deserved the 6.7 battle rating, but as it was, the P51H was really unplayable, with the constant up tiers into jet battles and the constant phasing of the F-84G. So something had to be done there, and they actually did something. Now if it was the correct decision to change it this way, is something up for debate. I mean, if in the long run and in the bigger picture, maybe they should make a 9.3 battle rating for the top tier jets and solve it that way. Take the F-84G to 8.0 and then have the P51H remain at 6.7. That could also have been an answer. But anyways, I think it's good that they did something to that problem. Another change was the B57A to 7.0. Now in the past this plane has been at 7.0. That's a long time ago, before I flew jets actually, but from what I've heard from my squadron mates who did fly in that era, that was terribly overpowered back then. The plane is way too fast for the 7.0 jets, and you can basically run away from people endlessly. So we'll have to see how that pans out. Maybe I should fly it out and see how it does at that battle rating. Let's hope it won't destroy the 7.0 gameplay. Now, what I've seen from Gaijin lately, and like I said, they've been listening more. They've been listening more to the community, and they have been listening more to suggestions from YouTubers, which is a great thing to see. I mean, when you're talking sense and you explain things, why things should change, they should actually listen to their community. I mean, in the end, we are the guys that love their game. We are the ones that want them to succeed, all of us. We want to play in a healthy game with a big player base, with people that love the game. And this is huge, and it should be the way they have been doing things in the past with their feedback and the way they treated criticism and stuff like that. That wasn't good. But I see major improvements, and I also see major improvements to what they're doing. Not only the netcode, not only regular battle rating changes, and actually corrections after that from feedback from their player base. This is very good to see. And I feel that they slowly but surely are fixing long-standing issues. Not only planes and flight models, but also, like I said, the graphics. And the netcode is huge. And decisions on what to develop first. For example, I felt that postponing Naval was a huge decision, and fantastic that they made it, because Naval wasn't even close to being finished. They recognized that it would be a flop if they would release it that way, and they just pulled it back. They put the Italians first. That was great, a great release, and some good planes in there. And now they are releasing the French as well, and even before Naval, which they continue to test. It is something that I would encourage them to keep doing. Just keep working on that mode until it's perfect, and don't release it 1 second before that time. This has to be a success, and it can be something huge for this game. But all in all, they're doing a good job lately, I feel. And everybody makes a mistake here and there. Who knows, the B57A change to 7.0 might be a mistake on their part. But these days I have more confidence in Gaijin coming back on that decision, you know? That's a change from a few years ago. From a few years back they would never come back on decisions, and would even double down on stupid things they did. And but I feel that these days it is more likely that they will listen to feedback. And we'll see how that goes. To go into the French, as we talked about that a little already, they are incoming. They have made several dev posts about that. The new patch will contain a new French tree, 1.73. And well, we already saw a few planes come by. So we saw the SO8000 Narval come by, which is a fantastic looking pusher prop. And they said it's gonna be 700 km in level flight. I found that pretty entertaining, that remark. I wonder if that is gonna be the actual speed of the plane in level flight. I also had such expectations with the file, the DO 335s, but it didn't have that speed when it came live. I doubt this is gonna have 700 km in level flight. Maybe in a dive, who knows, but we'll see, who knows. Maybe it's the fastest prop ever built. You never know. It also will have 6 20mm cannons. Now I look forward to that. Most definitely, this is gonna be a boom and zoomer 101. Looks good. It also is gonna have bombs and rockets, and it's gonna be an all-round aircraft. Now, from what I've understood in their dev blogs, is that the French 3 is gonna consist of planes that can fulfill all-round roles, and looking forward to that. They also announced a monoplane biplane between hooks. You know, it's not a biplane, it's a monoplane. It's a monoplane parasol schematic with 2 20mm. Now I'm gonna buy those 2 planes. I'm gonna buy them when I get my wages in, because I want to fly them, and I want to have the French 3 unlockable as soon as possible. And they said that the 3 is gonna consist of about 30 planes when it will be introduced. So that is gonna be similar to the Italian 3. In the Italian 3 there's about 35 planes, and 36, 35 or 36. I don't remember exactly, but I thought it was that. And so the French 3 is gonna consist of about the same. So what you should imagine to be there is probably 2 or 3 premiums with a bomber line, an attacker line and a fighter line, and that will be it initially, and they will add to that over time, just like with the Italians. So all in all, that's looking good. I'm really looking forward to the French, and like I said before, what that netcode is gonna do for the game, it's gonna be fantastic. It is just gonna be you and your skills now, and not just sparkles. Take that out of the equation and you've got a game that can compete not only for you know, players, but also in the e-sport arena, which might be something that Gaijin wants to work further on, to get this game on the world stage. Who knows? We'll see. So guys, that brings us to the end of this episode. I think a lot of positivity is in the game. The things they are changing, the things they are doing, looks very good. I think the game at the moment is looking better than it has for years, all in all. And I mean, we can debate about a B57A on 7.0, but like I said earlier, I have much more confidence in Gaijin to take feedback from the community about these things and potentially changing things back than I had 2 or 3 years ago. Gaijin is really looking like they want to make this game succeed with us together now, and that is something huge. I think they haven't done that in previous years, and I think that is gonna make this game succeed. And yeah, very exciting, and we'll see where they take it. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.